In this video, I want to share with you some strategies to help raise financially resilient children or money smart kids. So, did you know that most of the way that we are as adults today around money was formed between the ages of 2 and 12? That's right, between 2 and 12. So, as parents, me being one myself, we have a really unique opportunity and almost I'd stretch a responsibility to empower our children with some really healthy financial habits as a foundation for them. So what I want to do in this video is just take you through a few strategies that are age appropriate for different stages of a child's life. So what I want to start with is these really important ages between 2 and 12. Children are like recording devices. They're like sponges. They're interpreting all of the information around them, and information about money is one of those things that they are learning. Now, their brain isn't fully developed. It's still in that kind of spongy patterning mode where they're still recording things, but they actually don't have the rational capability of a brain until we get to an adult to actually fully interpret those in a really mature way. And so think of like an uncooked chicken fillet, and that's kind of like what a little brain looks like. And it's not till the age of 12 where we get all of those indentations and markings in it. And the brain is 90% of its development is done by the age of 12. So it's really important as a parent, we're really conscious and mindful of the messaging that our children are picking up from our home environment. So what I want to do now is just give you a foundation for what are some of the things that we should be focusing on when we're talking about money with our children. So I break it up into these three categories. One is around earning money, whether that be pocket money or money for gifts or Christmas. It might be that they get a potential job. Then we want to give them some good foundations around spending money. What is it that we spend our money on? Is it linked to our values? Do we spend all of our money, or do we perhaps save some money? And that's third pillar there is around saving money and the way that we do that and why we actually would want to save money. So these are really those foundations. And what research shows us that there is a lot more healthy foundations if we can install delayed gratification with our children. So whenever we're talking about money and teaching children lessons, we want to make it age appropriate for their age and where they are in their brain development. So I've got a couple of quick strategies here or exercises that you can do with your children under the age of 6. So the first one is about making money visible, because in today's world, everything is swipe and electronic, and children don't really get to see the physical money like we used to, maybe in the 70s and 80s and 90s. So you want to make money visible. So, I grew up with like coins and, jars of money and being able to take them out and count them. We want our children today to still have that same opportunity. So put away all of your coins and then you can make games with children about like matching them all up into these are all the 50-cent coins, these are all the dollar coins, and just let them count them and play with them and rearrange them, and you can make up little games for them. Another thing that you can do is when you take your children to the supermarket, you can play some kind of spotto game where they're looking on the aisles of all the shelves and get them to point to every time they see something starting with $2 or more or 50 cents. Or so they're just going to have fun and just spot out things and get them to start looking at numbers and money. And the third thing is perhaps some colouring in sheets where you can have some pictures of different coins of the denominations and they can play with them and colour them in, or maybe they've got some savings goals and they can colour in when they get closer to them. So that's a couple of things that we can do for children under the age of 6 to introduce them to the concept of money. And we want to be really mindful when we're talking about money or, paying bills, or we don't have enough money for that. Really careful of the language that we use. So too often I see, a child might say, oh, can I have that new toy? And the response might be, well, we don't have money for that. It's like, you could have money for that. If you sold your house or sold your car, you could buy that, but you choose not to. So it's about having it as more empowering language is that, yes, we could buy that toy, but our priorities at the moment are around doing this, and explain why, rather than just saying, no, you can't have that, actually breaking it down and helping the child understand the reasoning why. So then we move into our next age group, which is 6 to 12. So here I think is the time where you can start to get together as a family on a regular basis. It might be once a month or once a quarter, and have a family money meeting. And so you can share with your children, the things that you spend money on, why you spend the money the way you do. You can share with them how you save money and what you're putting away for in your future goals. So having a family meeting about money, and maybe letting the children have some decision making around, well, we've got this much spare money left over. How would you like to spend some of that? At this age, typically we come into the phase of pocket money. Now, I've got some very strong views around pocket money, and I'm actually going to do a separate video on that. But my whole foundation around pocket money is about giving children the opportunity to make decisions with money. We want to give them some flexibility so they can learn from their mistakes in an earlier age. It's much better to make a money mistake when you're 6 to 10 years old rather than your 20s and 30s. So we want to give children some autonomy and flexibility so they can learn how to make good money decisions. So it might be that they spend all of their money on one big toy, and then they realize as a result of that, they don't have money to spend on a lolly or something else that they want. So they're going to pick up a lesson that, well, it's really important that I put money aside and maybe not spend it all at once. Another thing that you can do with children in this age group is let them track their spending and progress to different goals. And then that's something that they can have some kind of achievement when they're saving up for something, and then they actually get to spend it. So my son a few years ago really wanted a fishing rod, so he used to be putting money away, and the big smile on his face when we went to the fishing shop and he bought that rod, it was just that sense of accomplishment and achievement for him. So that's at 6 to 12 years old. Having a family meeting, giving them pocket money for the purpose of letting them learn lessons about managing money, giving them some autonomy and ability to make some decision making, and let them set goals and progress towards them. Then we come to our teens. So here is really the time or stage of age of time where children are starting to flex a little bit more independence, and we really want to be able to support them to make their own money. So rather than doing some babysitting or working for family and friends, they might be working for an employer and dealing with the public or whatever that is. So we really want to be supportive of them earning their own money and creating their own independence with that. So we talked about between 6 and 12, looking at sharing why saving is really important. I think once we hit into the teenage years, it's important to distinguish the difference between saving and investing, and show them the difference of compound interest and how that works between putting money in a bank account and putting it into growth assets. And we're so fortunate in today's world that if you've got a phone and you can download an app and you've got $5, you can start to be an investor. So we want to talk about compound interest and the way that works. And again, we want to help our teens set up some goals. What are some savings goals and some spending goals? And so they can track and monitor that. So that is really what I wanted to share in terms of those different stages. But the thing that I want parents to take away is, again, we need to really be on the same page when it comes to money. So if we're saying one thing but doing another thing, it creates a bit of confusion, and they're most likely going to model your behavior than what you say to them. And the other thing is, if you're a couple and you have different values or behaviors when it comes to money, that can be really conflicting or confusing for a child. So in the presence of your children, it's really important that you be on the same page and you're sharing the same message when it comes to money. So I hope you found those short little snippets helpful. I do have a parenting course that runs over an hour, and we really deep dive into a lot of these concepts and share a lot more. So if you found this valuable, really feel free to reach out so you can learn more about how you can be involved and be a really conscious, mindful parent when it comes to messaging with your money. Bye for now.